Welcome back, and I want to kick off this video with a big congratulations, okay? Because if you followed along the other videos, then your ads are already set up and running. And that means you're already getting results. You're already growing new followers on Spotify. You're getting new listeners and you're getting streams. Now, whenever you launch a new ad and a new campaign, and this happens to everybody, this happens to me, even though I've done this for years, the results are always a surprise, right? You never know whether you land right in the sweet spot, or maybe you have a high performing ad that's beating the others, or maybe your results come in a little lower and slower than what you expected. So it's really important to talk about the process of optimizing ads so that you can maximize your results. And that's what this video is about. So let's jump right in. We're going to kick this off in Ads Manager, but before we jump in, let's talk about the goals. Let's set some perspective about optimizing our results here, right? So and I kind of liken this to just driving a car down a straight road with cruise control turned on. With these Facebook ads, there actually isn't a whole lot of steering that you have to do, right? Basically, what we're doing when we're talking about optimizing the results is we're just checking to see if everything's running smoothly, right? If the engine is doing what we want it to do. And Facebook has gotten so good at automatically optimizing the ads that we really only need to look out for things that seem completely out of line, right? And in this video, we're going to figure out how we would identify things like that, right? But otherwise, we're just going to let this run and simply adjust our budget over time, either up or down, to determine the speed of growth that we want in Spotify, right? If we like a campaign, the campaign's doing well, we can increase the budget a little bit, get bigger results. If we want to head the other direction, that's fine too. So the budget is basically our accelerator, where we either go faster or slower. So when we look at the analytics, there are three pieces that I really like to focus on. The first piece is, or the first question is, what? Like, what are the results that we've been getting, and what's all the good stuff going on, right? That's coming out of this campaign. So that's the what. The second is how, or how much. How much are we spending for those results? Because that matters, and we're trying to get the most out of the budget. And then the third aspect that we want to look at is who. Who are the people who love our music? Because that's where we learn about our audience. And the more we know about our audience, the more that benefits us for future campaigns or for other things we want to do with them. Like if it comes to selling merch, or if it comes to sharing more music and all these other things, the better you understand your audience, the more targeted you can develop content for that audience. Now, very important note I want to make here. As I show you my results on my screen here, keep in mind that these results are unique to my music and my audience. Okay, they are not benchmarks. Don't compare yourself to those numbers here. Your results are going to be unique to your music and your audience, which means the volume and the cost per result might be very different from mine. Okay. And I totally get that it's hard to not look at the results on my screen here as benchmarks, right? But it's just the fact that if you and I would both run the same, what have you, radio promotion, blog promotion, YouTube promotion, or anything like that, right? Both of us, we would get different results. And that's simply the case because we make different music and we go after different audiences. And because there are potentially different levels of ad competition for those audiences out there, right? So just keep that in mind and just accept this for now. And we're going to talk more about this at the end of this video. But do not look at these results at benchmarks. All I want to get across here are the mechanics of what analytics to look at and how to bring those up. But I tell you what, why don't we actually start this off in Spotify for Artists, right? Because that's really, at the end of the day, where we want to see the results. We're going after new fans. We're going after listeners. We're going after streams. So let's start here. And where I love to go first in Spotify for Artists is usually the audience section. Because the audience section shows me what's happening with my listeners, my streams, and my followers over a 28-day period. Now, obviously, the results you're seeing here are aggregate results, right? So if you're running multiple Spotify growth engine campaigns in Facebook, You can't single out the results of one individual campaign unless you're looking at the music section here. We're going to go at this, we're going to look at this in a second. But what you're seeing here in the audience section are the combined results for everything that's going on. But I'll just show you this here anyway. So you can pick different time frames here. You can see for the last week, for the last 28 days, or since 2015 in my case. And then you see sort of how your listeners are trending, right? You see the totals. You see the same for streams. And this is sort of nicely trending up. Everything's like nicely trending up, which I want. And then the followers here are going really strong from the campaigns that are running. So there's a lot of new followers coming in. And what I also love to look at here is the source of stream sections. So this is your profile and or streams where the source is your profile and catalog, right? This is traffic that you're sending directly, or traffic that is coming directly to your profile. Then you have listeners' own playlists and libraries. That is awesome, right? Because that's the majority of traffic. That's almost 40% comes from fans who saved my music to their library or saved my music to any of their playlists, right? And that is triggering streams. Then you have other listeners' playlists. That's relatively small. And then we have the algorithm, right? So the three major sources of streams that we're getting are our listeners' own playlists and libraries, which is awesome because it just validates that having fans and building that fan base on Spotify can be a major driver of listeners and streams, right? And then our own profile and catalog. So there's a lot that our ads are contributing to that. And then we have the algorithm do its job over here, right? So it's pretty awesome because actually the majority of traffic that we're getting hasn't even anything to do with ads anymore. It comes from our listeners and it comes from the Spotify algorithm. So the ads are basically just seeding the growth of your Spotify account. But if you lead into this with quality music and you're acquiring fans that really care about your music, which is what we're really going for here, right? This is all about putting the right music in front of the right audience. Then this thing is just growing on itself, right? Because these fans, they come back and they want to listen to your music over and over again. And they want to listen to new music that's coming out anyway. So there is, again, the majority of streams here is coming from that audience that we already seeded in Spotify. So this is pretty cool. And then if you go over to the music tab, right, you see everything obviously by release or by track here, by song, and then you can look at it by release. And what I love is this sort of by playlist view here. This obviously shows you what's happening on the algorithmic playlists. And again, you can play around with the dates. You can show it for like the majority of your music career on Spotify. You can show it only for the last 28 days. And then here, if you come down to the listener section, those are playlists made by Spotify listeners. And this is likely where you see some fast growth here. So my music has been saved to over 3,700 or about, I guess, 3,700 playlists. And I only started doing this at the beginning of November 2019. So this Spotify account is really only just a few months old. I will say you might be wondering, well, why are you getting this since 2015 here? And, there was a prior John Gold Spotify account that had my music mixed up with the music of other music artists who are also called John Gold. And this is why, some of this is a little wacky in my account. Cause when Spotify went ahead and separated all the John Golds into individual artists on Spotify, they had to separate the data as well. And that sort of, was a little bit difficult task. But anyway, don't want to spend much time on this, just so you know why one or the other thing here might be a little bit different in my account. You see the algorithmic playlist, you see the user playlist, and we looked at the audience section. So this is really where you can easily monitor the results that you're getting in Spotify, right? And all of this should be pointing up. When your Spotify growth engine is running, you should see more listeners coming in, you should see more streams coming in, you should see more followers coming in, you should see more playlists or user playlists coming in, right? This number here, where is it? The listener playlist here. So this number is going to go up. And then the algorithmic playlist, this is something that'll just take a little bit of time to be picked up, but eventually you're going to get there as well, and you'll see that growth coming in as well. All right, so much about Spotify. I love the simplicity of the way they built this Spotify for Artists account here. Really easy to monitor what's going on. But now let's jump into Facebook and let's look at the results more specifically for the ad campaigns that we launched. And as you know from the prior video, we have a campaign level and the ad set level and the ad level. So we're going to look a little bit of all of these. But to give you an overview here, you have obviously, we're on the campaign tab, so you see your campaign results. And then here under performance, if you open this up, there are different presets that you can use to see different statistics about your ad campaigns. So I have this set to performance right now, which is the default and might be what's coming up on your screen as well. And then the breakdown, we're going to look at that a little bit later, right? But what you see right up front, we have our downloads campaign here and we have our streams campaign over here. Is that, okay, we've been running these campaigns for a few days now, right? I've spent about a little over $20 on each of these campaigns. And these are the results that we've been getting. So our streaming campaign has sent 380 people from Facebook successfully over to Spotify, right? And remember, we optimize this for link clicks, not just ad clicks or not just visits on the smart link. We optimize that for people going from the smart link into Spotify. And that happened 380 times over the duration of this campaign. And I think I've had this live for 4 to 5 days now. And the cost that we've been spending, whenever that happens, whenever this results happens, averages out to about 6 cents right now, right? That's a pretty cool start. And then we have the downloads campaign over here, which has been running with the same budget for the same duration, basically. And we have had 41 people downloading our song at an average cost of 61 cents per conversion. And 41 people downloading our track means that 41 people came from the Facebook ad, downloaded the track, in the process followed us on Spotify and followed our own playlist and saved our music to their music library, right? And this again is what eventually ends up driving, these statistics here, listeners' own playlist and library, right? So this is all great stuff happening right here. But let me also show you how you can get a sense of the size of the audience that we actually reached with those ads, right? We looked at the results, but how many people have even seen our ads? How many people have watched the videos that we put into these ads? I want to show you how to find this out. And the first answer is right here. So over these 4.5 days, however long this has been running, we reached over 80,000 people. Right, you can see here about over 62,000 people saw the streaming ad and roughly about 20,000 people saw the downloads ad. So we reached a total of over 80,000 music fans. And what I want to do is I want to switch to video engagement over here because we have videos inside these ads. We are seeing the results for that here as well. And if you go all the way to the end, you actually see how many times your video got played. It got played over 92,000 times, right? So we're coming up on 100,000 times that this video or that any of these videos in these ads were played. So that's pretty significant results. This is like a big audience. Now, the reason why you see more video plays than you see reach is that the ad was served multiple times to some people in that audience. So if somebody watches the video twice, your video plays will go up, but your reach will stay the same because reach is all based on the number of people that were reached. Okay. And then there's different statistics here, how many times the video was played and those kinds of things. So you can dive into that, if you like. But, I usually take a look at the high level stats only and keep most focused on the results and then the cost per results. And that is at the campaign level. Now, why don't we take a look at the ad set level? So I'm going to switch this back to performance here. I know we're going to go into the ad set. But we want to do this for one campaign in particular. So why don't we start off with the downloads campaign? So just click on that. And it shows you the ad sets in that campaign. And remember, we differentiated the ad sets by the sound-alike artists we were targeting, right? For me, this was Carl Cox, Mark Knight, Oliver Heldens, and Bob Sinclair. And this is where you see the results really start differing a little bit. So here, right off the bat, I see that Carl Cox is the one who's sort of pulling this forward in terms of the quantity of results. So Carl Cox is converting with 28 downloads here. But the cost is a little higher compared to the others, right? I see 63 cents. Mark Knight, only one conversion, but really, really cost effective at only 30 cents here compared to the others, right? Oliver Heldens, 4 conversions, not very many. Also pretty expensive compared to the others, definitely pulling up the average. And then we have Bob Sinclair doing pretty good with 9 conversions. So the second highest number of conversions at 48 cents, which is obviously lower than what Carl Cox is coming through with. Now, if we come a little bit over to the right here, you can see the amount spent on each of those ad sets. And you instantly recognize that it's not equal, right? We spend a total of 25 bucks here right now. And if Facebook was equally distributing the budget, then each of these ad sets should have $5. But that's not what Facebook is doing. Facebook is optimizing the budget for results. But what Facebook's taking a look at here is both the volume of results and the cost per results, right? So Oliver Heldens doesn't perform that well. So the budget is rather small because the cost is really high. Carl Cox is the second highest in terms of cost per result, but delivers the most results. And that's why Facebook is spending more budget on this. And then Mark Knight, the results are really, really, small, only small budget spend. In this particular case, it has something to do with the audience size. And I can show you this again. So if we go into Carl Cox here and we click on edit for the ad set, we're not going to edit it, but I just wanted to show you this. For Carl Cox, we're seeing an audience size here of 1.2 million. This is not all Carl Cox fans, but this is fans who are Carl Cox or have an interest in Carl Cox in Spotify countries, plus an interest in Spotify, plus an interest in music download. And if we compare this to, let's say, Mark Knight, well, we're looking at 42,000 people. So when an audience gets this small, there is a chance you find diehard fans in that audience. So there's no reason to turn this off. But the audience is so small that there might not be a whole ton of those people or a whole lot of these people who even log into Facebook on a daily basis, right? Maybe among those 42,000 people over the last day or two, only a handful even logged into Facebook and they were served other ads or something. So, that's why this isn't pulling a whole lot of results in. But so my overall takeaways here right now that Carl Cox is definitely driving the results, right? And I'm okay with that. Mark Knight is probably the best match given sort of the lowest cost of results, but the audience is so small that it's not going to be easy to scale up, right? I couldn't throw more budget at this Mark Knight ad set and then expect bigger results because the audience is just a little bit too small. So I gotta let this just run and be happy about any results I'm getting from this over time. I really like the Bob Sinclair audience, love the cost per conversion, love the fact that there is volume possible here. So what I assume what Facebook's going to do is eventually split some of this Carl Cox budget up and deliver to Bob Sinclair. So that will be something to look out for over the next coming days. And then the Oliver Heldens audience, I don't like that much. Obviously not a whole lot of budget spent on it, but the cost per result is quite a bit higher than it is for the others. And there isn't too much volume here, although I suspect that the audience itself is not probably that small. So we have 600,000 here. If we compare this to Bob Sinclair, see, Bob Sinclair is even a smaller audience and performing better than Oliver Heldens does with a bigger audience. So I would say Oliver Heldens is probably not the best match for this particular track, right? It might still be a great match for some of my other tracks, but for this track, it probably doesn't carry a whole lot of weight. But let's look at the streams campaign as well and have a look at what we find over here. Let's take a look. The majority of results are coming from Carl Cox at 7 cents. Then we have Oliver Heldens at the same cost with about 50 results. Bob Sinclair doing really well, delivering over 100 results at only 5 cents. That's only 2 cents different if you look at it on a cents perspective, but on a percentage perspective, that's quite significant. And then you have Mark Knight here, again, delivering the most cost-effective results, but there's really only a few of them, again, because of the small audience size. So it seems like what I'm seeing in the streams ad set here sort of mimics the findings from the download ad set. Carl Cox, big audience, can pull in a lot of results. Oliver Heldens, probably not the best audience for this. And then Bob Sinclair, really exciting. And Mark Knight, fantastic results on a cost per results basis, but very, very small audience. Now, I wanted to comment on this here because you probably picked up on this. Already know that the delivery status for every ad and every ad set, every campaign gives you an indication of whether this might be in review, right? When you submitted it and Facebook reviews it, and then it can go active and then can be in learning phase. And you might also get this little triangle and warning here that says limited learning, right? This comes up when Facebook basically thinks it's not having enough budget on the ad to get enough results to learn fast enough. Now, this warning doesn't mean that your ad isn't delivering and won't continue to deliver results for you. It just means that Facebook would love to get a little bit more results and faster to learn the characteristics of the people who are converting for you and then find more of them. So in this training, I've talked over and over again of the benefit of having the pixel sort of learn. And this is just Facebook telling us, hey, the pixel could learn faster if we had an opportunity to get more results in faster, right? And there are basically a few ways you could do this. You could either give Facebook more budget and say, hey, I'm giving you more budget. You can deliver more results faster over a shorter time period with a bigger budget. And that's how you can learn faster. Or if you wanted to react to this indicator or to this warning a different way, you could say, well, we can also split the ad budget we have over a smaller set of ads or a smaller number of ad sets, for example, right? That would also free up budget and allow Facebook to apply the same budget to a smaller number of ads and ad sets. Because what we have right now is we have 4 ad sets. Each of these ad sets has 3 ads in it because, remember we put those 3 videos. So each of these ad sets has a video 1, video 2, video 3. So that means there's a total of 12 video ads that are running right now on that budget. If we turn off one of the ad sets, instantly we basically turn off 3 video ads, and then the remaining budget or the same budget can just be applied to 9 videos, which also lets Facebook learn faster. And with everything going on here, and specifically the results of the Oliver Heldens ad set, that might be a strategy to apply here to say, okay, why don't we turn off the Oliver Heldens ad sets, free up that budget, allow Facebook to apply it to, the other 3, and therefore get the other 3 learning a little bit faster. So let's do it. Just gonna flip the switch here, turn off the Oliver Heldens ad set, and then we're going to come back and go into the download campaigns, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to turn off the Oliver Heldens ad set. To just put some perspective around here, this is not necessarily something I would have to do, right? Facebook over time would also get to that point and probably put less money towards the Oliver Heldens ad set and apply it to the others. But given the results that I'm seeing, and then I really don't want to increase the budget for the entire ad campaign at this level, but I want to give Facebook a better chance to keep learning faster on the remaining ad sets, I'm just going to make the call here right now and turn these off. All right, now this is done. Let's go back to the campaign level. So we already looked at the results. We looked at the what results we got. We looked at the how much we've been spending on those results. And then we said the other thing we wanted to look at and we wanted to find out was the who, right? Who is our audience? Who is giving us these results? And there is a lot of cool information you can find out if you use this breakdown drop-down menu here. Because breakdown allows you to see all the results with additional breakdowns on it. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, I guess. So for example, let's say gender. Let's say you wanted to see which of my results are coming from a male or female or uncategorized audience. You can do this here. So you can see that on the downloads, I got 39 downloads from a male audience, 3 downloads from a female audience, and on the streams, 310 results, meaning smart link clicks over to Spotify from a male audience, 310 over here, and then 72 from a female audience. Going into this campaign, I already knew my music resonate a little bit more with the male audience, and these numbers here just confirm this, right? Although I'm quite positively surprised about the female audience on the stream side. So seems like on the download side, it's really a little bit more focused on a male audience. Now you might be asking, like, John, does that mean I should turn off my ad sets to a female audience? I just want to show you that you can assume Facebook already accounted for that and optimized for this. So if you look at the results here, you can see that the amount spent per campaign is sort of equally focused on a male audience. So we have, out of a total budget on the download campaign of $25, 23 and 50 were already spent on the male audience, and only $1 and 46 cents were spent on the female audience. And here the breakdown is slightly different, but still similar in its trend, that the majority of the budget goes to a male audience and only very little to a female audience. So I'm fine just keeping those running, because I know Facebook is automatically optimizing my budget by gender. Now let's look at age. Let's switch this over here to age. And if I look at the age breakdown, I see that, okay, looking at the streams campaign first in this case. So getting some good results here, 18 to 24. The peak is really between 25 and 34. This is where I'm getting the majority. And then the second highest, 35 to 44. And then as I go older, the results sort of taper off. And on the downloads, looks a little bit similar, right? The peak here is between 25 and 34, and then the second highest is 35 to 44. So getting a pretty good sense here that my music resonates best with an audience between 25 and, let's say, 44 years old. This is where the music's playing for me. So, also really important to know, and good stuff to learn. And again, you look over here and see how Facebook is applying my budget, and it looks like that it's the majority of the budget is going to the demographics that convert the best. And certainly the same here on the streaming ad, like the majority on the budget to 25 and 34. And this is where the majority of the results are coming from. I'm quite happy by this, and that's just good information to have, because when I launch a new campaign, right, I can either say, Facebook, you relearn this, and I'll let you automatically figure out which demographics give you the best results from my music. Or I could even set up a new ad set and say, only show this ad to an audience between 25 and 44 years old, and focus all my budget on this. So, just another thing to take away here. Now, something else I wanted to look at was the countries. Let's see where all of these conversions are coming from. Let's set it to country, because we're using a global audience. What I expect is that this is going to be pretty much all over the place. And let's just take a look. Let's start with the download campaign, or actually let's take it from the top. So here's the streams campaign. So we're getting some, Argentina has some good results here. Chile, Colombia has some good results. Ecuador has some good results. India has some good results. We have Mexico has some good results in here. This is, Spain is doing nicely. Okay, I like that. I think that makes sense for my sound. I don't see a lot of United Kingdom and United States in here, but I would say this is expected. It's expected because those are expensive markets where there's a lot of ad competition. A lot of businesses are trying to advertise in those markets, go after those audiences. So if we give Facebook an opportunity to optimize our results with a global audience, Facebook is going to go into those markets, into those territories and countries where there's less ad competition, and results are naturally a little bit less expensive. This is like, we went into this sort of, with open eyes. This is not a surprising result. Obviously, if you say, I want all my fans, all my streams, all of that has to come from, let's say, the United States or the UK or both, or a select group of countries, then you would obviously go into your ad sets and and limit the reach of your ads or the delivery of your ads to those specific countries. I hope that makes sense. And then here on the downloads, we're getting some similar countries here. Brazil's doing pretty good. Colombia's doing pretty good. Who do we have here? France doing really good. 7 downloads. Oh, that's interesting. So obviously, there must be a nice audience over there for that music. Mexico is coming in here with a few. And the UK. All right. So look for the downloads campaign. We are actually getting some more sort of quote unquote expensive territories in here with the UK and France making up, looks like about 10 results out of 40. So 25% of those markets. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'll just let Facebook do its job on the country and it'll continue to optimize. And again, if I wanted to limit my next ad set or target very specific countries, again, it's very easy to do in the ad set settings. So the last thing I wanted to show you here is the platform, because I want to compare Facebook and Instagram with each other. These are some interesting results here. Look, the downloads campaign, right, is doing great on Facebook and is still doing okay on Instagram, but not that great, right? There's only a few results and the cost per result on Instagram is a lot higher. But if you look at the streams, it's the opposite picture. Actually, the cost per result on Facebook isn't all that different from what you're getting on Instagram, but looks like fans on Instagrams just love to hop over to Spotify and stream the music. So a lot stronger results here on Instagram. And for the download, it looks like that sort of ad performs better on Facebook. So really interesting. These results might be different for you. And, there's sort of a right or wrong here. I just wanted to show you that the data is here. And this is the reason why we're running those ads on Facebook and Instagram, right? And not just one platform, because we want to give Facebook the opportunity to get us results on either platform and let it optimize for that. All right. This is all I wanted to show you in the Ads Manager, but there's more on stats. So stay with me here because I want to hop over to Hyped It next. Let's look at what we're seeing here. We promoted this download gate in our downloads campaign, right? So let's take a look. So we got 600 visits to the gate. We got 50 downloads and we got 115 fan email addresses. That is amazing because that's gold. There's a lot of value. And look at this. Our track even made the Hyped It house charts because we sent so much traffic to it and we got so much hype around this track from the ad that the charts picked us up. So that's pretty amazing. Now, you might be wondering, are those sort of similar ratios that you could expect for your campaign? So let me talk about this for just a second. The number of visits is always going to be significantly higher than the number of downloads and everything else. And the reason simply is that, look, we're promoting a free download, right? In our ad, we're telling people, hey, just click over here and there's going to be free music for you. And that is true. There is free music for them on the other side, but we're still asking for something in return. We're asking for an email address and we're asking for some support on Spotify. And there are people who are not going to support us that way. Right. And that's cool because this is how we sort of, separate the real fans that we want from folks who might be just, casually coming across our music and they wouldn't be bothered sharing their email address or doing anything to access the song. But look, the truth is they probably wouldn't be diehard fans of our music anyway, if even that is too much, right? So expect that you see a lot more visits then you're going to see downloads. The reason you're going to see more emails captured than downloads is because the email capture step is the first step in the download gate. Right, so somebody might share their email address, but then run into sort of, second thought on the Spotify step, or maybe they get a notification on their phone or something happens, but they'd never complete the download. But the good thing is we still have an email address here. So now we can market and promote future music to them. We can promote merch sales or anything else they want to promote. We can promote to all those fans on our email address because we know they like our music. That's why they got here in the first place. And this is how they shared their email address. Now, last thing you might be wondering is, John, I see In Facebook, I saw 43 downloads, and I see, sorry, let me take out this breakdown here. Right, I saw a little over 40 downloads, and in Spotify, in Hyped It, I see 50 downloads. Why are those numbers different? So first thing, when you look at stats, the numbers are always going to be off a little, right? First of all, this is like, we downloaded our own track in the beginning, like we triggered our own download gate. So, there's a difference there. And because the track is in the charts, it's picking up additional downloads, right? So, which is one of the amazing side effects here. We're sending ad traffic to this song. It's getting picked up in the charts as a result, and the charts are being visited by thousands of people every day. Those people discovered the track organically, downloaded it, also become Spotify, fans and listeners and streamers, although we never ran an ad to them. So I'm not surprised we're seeing more downloads, specifically given that the track is now in the charts, which is just an amazing free sort of discovery tool. So this looks all right to me. This all makes sense, the way these stats sort of came out. And then if we head over to the smart link, let's take a look at that as well. So this is I'm going to bring this up to the top here. This is the smart link that we promoted as part of this campaign. And again, you see a higher number of visitors. 815 people visit the smart link, and then 392 clicked it. So that number, 392 clicks, right? That's pretty close to the 385. And, if I refresh this, the number might have even gone up a little bit higher since. And we're seeing about 50% conversion. I've run a lot of these campaigns, and this is about where it comes out to me as well. So about 50% of all the people who come to the smart link go over to Spotify to check out the music. So if you're seeing something similar, know that you're sort of in the average, in the bulk of the results that you should be seeing. All right, so this is really what I wanted to show you in Hyped It. So let me come back to the Facebook ad campaign now. And let's talk a little bit about sort of maintenance and optimization for your ad campaigns. We've taken a look at the analytics, where we collected all the data, we saw the results, we saw the cost per results. But what are we doing about maintenance and optimization that goes beyond what we talked about right now? So here are a couple of tips I want to share. And my number one tip, right, the most important, and I ask you to memorize this so this never becomes a mistake, is don't kick off campaigns with a big budget. Right? It is much better to run a small budget longer than a big budget for a short period of time. We kicked this off with a daily budget of $5. And look, you might be looking for fast results, and you might be going through this training like, John, I want to throw a bigger budget at this on a daily basis. My recommendation would be, at this initial phase, don't blow through a big budget fast. What you want to do is you want to start with a small budget. You want to let Facebook optimize your campaign. You want to give the pixel an opportunity to learn. And then once the campaign is optimized and you've seen your cost per result sort of stabilize at a level that is exciting for you and where it delivers exactly what you were hoping for, that is when you increase the budget. And increase the budget slowly, right? A way to increase the budget from, let's say, $5 to $20 wouldn't be to come here and click and put in the number 20 and then publish this. I mean, technically you obviously can, but there's a better way to do that. The problem is if you switch the budget really, really fast by a big amount, relative amount, right? From 5 to 20 might only be 15, but it is really an increase by, 300, 400% from your original budget. So that's a significant change. When you change budgets so rapidly, Facebook will re-trigger the learning process, because you are now changing, or you have made a significant change to a parameter in the ad, and that just triggers Facebook to relearn. So what I would recommend, what you do is that if you want to scale up from, like, let's say $5 a day to 10 and then 15 and then 20, do it in steps. Do it in daily steps, where each day you come in here and you increase the budget by like 10 to 20%. Yes, it'll take you longer to get to your desired budget if it's higher, but it'll also allow you to keep all the learning in place and have Facebook continuously deliver, sort of its best results rather than triggering off a new learning process. So if I wanted to increase this, I would set it to $6. And then the next day I would come in and set it to 7 and then to 8 and then to 9 and to 10. And when I'm at 10, maybe I would change to $2 steps. From 10, I would go to 12 and then to 14. And, and then at 20, you would maybe go to like $3 or $4 steps. So this is how you would scale the budget without triggering off a new learning phase. But before you even think about it, just keep on a small budget, let Facebook optimize the results for you, and then increase if you like. And if you're wondering, John, like how much time does Facebook need to optimize the results, right? The unscientific answer is give it time. I literally have had campaigns that started off with like a streaming cost per result of 10 cents. And then over time, it's gone down to 3 cents, right? So, I mean, imagine on a percentage basis, how much the improvement was, like 70% cost reduction from 10 cents down to 3 cents. But it's taken Facebook a few weeks to figure out my audience that well to deliver that kind of result. And let me show you a way to even look at this, right? So if you come to your ad campaign, you can click on View Charts over here. And this is what Facebook shows you. It shows you the results here in blue, but it also shows you the cost per results in green. So if you look at the results when we kicked off the ad a couple days ago, right, it came in at 8 cents a conversion and then went down to 7 cents a conversion the next day. I'm always looking at that number up here, right? So 7 cents. So from 8 cents to 7 cents and then 5 cents. So that was a really strong day. 6 cents, 6 cents. Okay, so, we're stabilizing definitely at a lower level than where we kicked off. But I'm sure if this ad continues to run for another week, that number will come down even further. And then another week it might come down even further below that. There is sort of a floor, right? It's probably not going to go to a cent or less or something like that. But you'll see the moment these results sort of extend over a longer period of time, you get a sense where the floor is. And this is when I'd recommend think about changing your budget when you reach sort of that optimal performance. Now, another thing I want to point out, which is really important, is this. Don't freak out about daily fluctuations, right? I have these freak out days. It's like, it blows my mind each time. You have a campaign, it's running, it's delivering solid, and then all of a sudden there's a day where you didn't change anything. The ad is just running as normal. It's spending its full ad budget, but for some reason you're getting only half the results and your cost per result just doubled and shoots up and you're freaking out because you don't know what happened because you didn't change anything. Just all of a sudden, it's like the performance of the ad goes in the tank, right? And my recommendation is don't freak out over those days. And try to look at results over a 7-day average rather than based on daily numbers, because a 7-day average usually takes care of those fluctuations. The way you would do this, if you come up here and let's say you've been looking at results on an individual day. So let me pick, I don't know, a random day. I think this ad was launched here on Thursday. So let's look at Friday, like what happened on Friday. There's actually a good example, right? So the downloads ad on Friday was close to $1 on its cost per conversion, right? And I don't know, if I'd only looked at that day, I could have said, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Although actually that number, again, don't use my numbers as benchmarks, right? That number isn't even sort of a bad number. But compared to the longer term average, it's obviously a higher number because we know the average is now, closer to 60 cents. But if you look at that result, you might be wondering like, holy shit, what is happening? Especially if the day before, if we look at those numbers, right, it was at 33 cents, right? So from one day to the other, so the cost tripled, right? And you're wondering like, what crazy stuff is happening here? But had you turned off the campaign on that day or changed anything, it would have kept you from getting, look, these were the results just the day after, right? On that Saturday, 11 results at 47 cents. So give yourself the opportunity to look at longer term averages. And I can bring up the chart here again. And I gotta look at the last 7 days. So here is where you see this little peak in cost per results, right? See here, it started at 33 cents, then went up to almost $1, and then sort of it came down. And looks like there's been a little bit of a trend up over the last few days, which obviously we'd love to see it trending the other way. But again, I want to give Facebook more time to optimize. This hasn't even run for a week yet. So Facebook needs a little bit more time to do its job here. I just wanted to make this particular section of this video about, these peak moments here, and don't freak out if you get that for a day or even 2 days. Look at your results on a 7-day average at a minimum, so that you're getting a more representative results of how your campaign performs over time. And in keeping with this and what we said earlier, most of the optimization happens automatically, right? I would only turn off stuff that looks way out of line, or if you want to make a decision to limit your ad budget on fewer ad sets. And that's what we did when we turned off the Oliver Heldens audiences in the stream campaign and the downloads campaign, right? We turned off those 2 ad sets because that was the worst performing set in both. It still delivered results, but it delivered results that were not as strong as in from the other ad sets. And we knew that Facebook sort of complained a little bit with a warning, hey, for those number of ad sets and ads, I would love to have a little bit more budget because the learning is slower. So it was just another reason to say, okay, let's turn that one off and let's give more budget to the other ad sets so they can learn a little bit faster. And then if you think about maintenance and optimization, obviously learn from your analytics, right? We are looking at this here and we're seeing which sound-alike artists perform best, right? So Carl Cox is obviously doing a pretty good job, and Bob Sinclair is doing a really awesome job. If you pick up which of these sound-alike artists perform best for your music, it's something that you can use for future campaigns, right? And the same as we talked about the age demographics or the gender demographics, right? Maybe the next ad set you start on another growth engine campaign, you're going to start with a male audience only, with an age demographic, in my particular case, from 25 to 44 only, right? All these things is something that we can take away, and it'll help make our ads better as we launch future campaigns. All right, so let's wrap it up from here. What are the key takeaways? I want you to understand what results you've been getting, right? And that's what we looked at in Spotify and Facebook and in Hyped It. I want you to learn who your audience is. And we looked at that specifically in Facebook Ads Manager and seeing all the breakdowns of who is converting. And then over time, try to beat your own results. Okay, this is important because I said at the beginning of this video, everyone's results are going to be different based on your music and based on your specific audience. So as you make updates to your campaign and you test different settings, and maybe you test different audio previews, and maybe you test different ad images or different ad text and the like, always try to beat your own results. Okay? Don't look at someone else's stats. That will only distract you. What you want to do is look at your own stats, and those are the ones you got to beat, right? That's your number one goal during the optimization of your campaign. Beat yourself. If you can continuously beat your best ads and beat your own results from this, then you're just going to get bigger results at a better cost per results, right? So that's the goal. You beat yourself. And with that said, I hope I have you fired up to look at your own results, to start thinking about what you want to do to your campaign, what you want to test in order to continuously improve and optimize, and what you can learn about your audience and how to apply that to future campaigns or any other things you're doing. There's really a lot of exciting stuff in that data and a lot of information to take out of this. So hope you liked it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.